I do the
harassing her.
The millennial period, which is just adding haha at the end of everything.
Sometimes you have to nowadays because it's like, no, I do mean it sarcasm.
Yeah. Well, that's right. A lot of people
It's like the haha or LOL.
A lot of people are
oh, those are the things that like actually exist, right?
Yeah, the old friendly period. A lot of people are like, can we bring back the friendly period so I don't have to put haha at the end of everything?
A friendly period? Is there one? God damn it.
If she's not a
You got that? Hype Attack, making grammar fun.
Nice. Cool. Right on. Yeah, hell yeah. Let's do it. Let's hype attack. Let's hype attack this shit.
I don't know. We'll see.
Attack this shit so hype like.
I'll cut it in somewhere.
Leave
right
no
here.
doubt. Show no mercy.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Hype Attack Podcast. I am Rudy, joined once again by Jermaine, Doug, and Isaac.
Yo.
What the fuck are you pointing to, Isaac? Stop it. You're distracting me.
Dun, 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 dun.
Howdy.
Welcome back to the podcast where we weigh in on the latest nerd and pop culture hype. Today, we are going to try a little format change. Instead of diving deep into a topic, we're just going to extend our usual, what are you hype about?
A fear change.
Today. Wayne's World reference. Thank you.
Same underwear for last week.
So we're just going to go around the table, see what everyone's hype about that, that's happening lately, and maybe expand on that for an episode. See how it goes. I'm excited.
Right on,
right on.
Should we, before we get into any personal stuff, I feel like we all want to talk about the Acolyte.
Yeah.
Maybe, well, that's kind of my personal thing that I want to talk about. If we can, we can start it with that, or we can end it with that.
Let's get started with it.
Can I quickly remind people, if you're listening to this, just a little friendly reminder, if the algorithm plop this episode randomly, and this is the first time you're listening to us, go to YouTube. We're also dropping full video episodes. Don't let Rudy's blood, sweat, and tears go to waste, please. I won't hear the end of it.
We're actually getting
me
some comment traffic on the YouTube, so when you guys have a chance, just pop up the episodes and look through the comments, and
We got 3 whole comments.
yeah,
Hell yeah.
but that's how the conversation starts.
Absolutely. That's
Absolutely.
true.
Yeah.
Continue. The Acolyte.
Star Wars.
Star Wars Acolyte Episode 3 released this week on Wednesday to a smattering of shit being thrown at it.
Yeah.
From, I want to say all corners, because it's pretty much the entrenched, self-described old school Star Wars heads that are just flinging mud everywhere. Mm-hmm. I actually deep dived a couple of just random reviews, and for people writing for websites that aren't necessarily the hardcore fans, they're like, okay, well, this is interesting. The episode was a little clunky. Some of these things were the acting was but they're like, oh, the ideas are kind of interesting. I'm kind of interested to see where it goes. And then you go, I dove into the YouTube pool. A couple of the popular Star Wars YouTubers are on there, and they're just like, it's over. Star Wars is over completely. This episode in particular is what did it. And I just don't understand. No,
Okay,
I absolutely
I don't see that either. I've been sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
I've been seeing and been hearing people shitting on specific things, blowing it up to, and I'm not going to go on some fucking soapbox rant because there's so many specifics. But it's little things where I go, well, I guess so, but it's not like, oh, you're so fucking right. Oh, what this show's gone to shit. Yeah, there's little things I can nitpick at. I think we all can. But I'm not looking at this as what everyone's calling a fucking dumpster fire. No.
I absolutely don't understand that attitude. Mm-hmm. It's the third episode of a brand new property and a brand new timeline in the universe. And I guess people aren't falling to their knees and orgasming in ecstasy over every single episode. And it's like, oh no, well.
Is that what it is?
It's over.
They feel like they need to, fucking jizz at every single episode, Doug?
We live in I think one of you guys said it. I don't know, maybe one of my other friends said it. We live in a golden age of television right now. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of really, really well written, well produced, well acted shows out there.
Movie quality.
Yeah. And I think it's important to note that Star Wars has never been that.
that part.
People
Sorry.
people want to act as if Star Wars was always this like I mean and the original ones were from a technological standpoint amazing, right? But they've never had amazing acting. They've always had weird clunky dialogue. We look back at some of the original ones fondly and nostalgic. And I'm not saying like they were bad, but I'm just saying like they've never had like amazing dialogue and acting and everything. And yet new stuff comes out and people want to hold it to that like, well, it's not Game of Thrones. It's like, yeah, because that's fucking Game of Thrones.
Agreed.
And it would be awesome if someone could put a Star Wars show out there. And I would say Andor probably came the closest.
Yeah.
Andor was amazing.
It seems to be what people are comparing
Yeah.
this show to, or
'Cause
every other, even Kenobi.
Andor ditched fucking Star Wars. It was a political like rebellion, but like there was no space wizards, there was nothing else. It was like kind of more traditional sci-fi war stuff, and which is awesome. I loved Andor. I'd love to see more of that. But it's like if we want Star Wars, this is what we're gonna get. We're gonna get hokey space wizard stuff and weird dialogue. I'm not saying this episode was fucking amazing, and it was certainly like the little chanting and everything that drove me nuts.
Oh, okay.
Especially when they kept repeating it. I was like, what? How did this get past editing? How did anyone like watch this and go, yeah.
Before you get too far from it, have you heard Mark Hamill on multiple interviews talk about what George Lucas wanted as far as like this one particular bit of dialogue when they're in the Millennium Falcon? Nobody knows what I'm talking about?
No.
Oh shit! I'll have to look up. But it's this
speak
whole.
on it.
No, it's this whole like really like long clinking thing, just per like what you're talking about, like clunky and cheesy dialogue. Like it's been in existence. Some of it got lucky enough to get like chopped out, but
Yeah.
it's always around. It's a sci-fi fantastical world.
What is crazy about everybody and their uproar about Star Wars is I do remember where there was a time when we only had, the first 6 movies and there was like nothing else. And I used to remember having conversations with people like, man, I just wish we get more Star Wars. And like,
Granted.
when is that day going to happen? And even with comic book movies, but that's another thing, and now we're getting all these things, but it's like we've mentioned, you have these fans and these new fans and kind of nobody's liking anything that they put out. And even with this episode, how she was describing the Force.
Oh man, that was a big hot thing in the threads.
There's people
Thread.
online that's really going at it like
I don't see what the fuck they're
we
bitching
got
about.
we got dumber from the explanation. Like you're not explaining anything. And then you have the group of people, out there that like there's different people out there that have a connection to the Force, but they describe it in a different way, so she's just saying how they view it, what it is to them, how it feels to them. But you just have all these people that just can't accept something new that comes along.
New and different.
Yeah.
Whoa, different.
Yeah.
I already sit at the top that I don't like change, Douglas. What's this different?
And
I'm getting nervous.
It's absolutely wrapped up in the whole women's thing too, because people are going to great lengths to be like, I'm not against women, I'm not against the lesbians, but this basically sucks. Like they like in the same breath.
It's the same people that like comment on women comedians.
Like it's just the two things in my mind. The two things don't equate. Like if you're gonna tell a story about a coven, whatever, I don't care. Like if it has to do with Star Wars and if it's told well, cool. Like that's not the thing I'm gonna be like, oh well, it's stupid because of this.
Well, they touched on space witches in not the Mandalorian.
Ahsoka.
Thank you.
Ahsoka, yeah. It was cool to sorry, real quick. It was cool for them to explore. I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, they're not Jedis. Oh, this is cool because I've been wanting to see. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I don't know if they were the good witch or the bad witch, but they were witches, and it was cool to explore and see their life as opposed to being like, there's a bad coven. Like you got to explore it a little bit.
My thing was, we've with the witches of Dathomir, we've done that already. Like they could. There's so many fucking different forced sex that they've. Not sex. Sex.
I wasn't going to jump in. I was going to leave it
saw the
alone.
gleam in your eye.
And I kept it to myself.
There's so many different forced religions out there that they've explored. That they've explored in the books and the comics and, you know, the expanded universe that they could have gone off in so many different directions. And I'm like, okay, we're back with the witch theme. And I mean, I guess it's an easy step to take to, you know, Ahsoka and kind of tying all that together.
Speaking of sex, how are the twins made?
What a heavy.
Kidding.
That's another. No, that's a whole other point. People were pissed off about because there's like, oh, it's another forced immaculate conception orchestrated.
Maybe
orchestrated by someone inferring. They heavily inferred it, but they didn't outright say it.
Yeah.
And then the people were like, well, if they could do this, how come that it just cheapens Anakin's birth? Like, how come they just weren't making Force kids out all over the place? If they knew all this 100 years ago before, I'm like, come on, man. Like, that's the takeaway. That's the takeaway. Like, it's they haven't even given you the story yet, and they're immediately jumping on these points. Like, well, this doesn't make sense. Well, it's episode fucking 3.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Is like I feel like any other movie or any other show, any other movie, any other property. Like the idea of an unsolved or an unanswered question, people accept and get excited. Oh, they're like, I wonder what this is. Like, but Star Wars, no. Like, if you don't tell me the fucking answer immediately, this is fucking garbage. And that's what I'm seeing, and it drives me nuts because it's like it's episode 3. Like, at least wait till the end of the season, and if they don't answer some of this stuff, if they leave it as lame as it seems now, then yeah, it's garbage. But it's ridiculous to complain about something on episode 3 and here's the thing, maybe people aren't complaining, you know, the AI writes up stuff that there's so much rage baiting with Star Wars because it is such a hot issue right now. There's so much rage baiting that I think people are gonna nitpick every Star Wars thing that comes out,
which is unfortunate.
Not every show can be X-Men 97. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Jermaine, did you like Andor? Did you watch Andor?
Andor,
did you like it?
Oh yeah.
So hold on. I was listening to a YouTuber. I was watching a YouTuber reacting to the episode right after he watched it, and he was just tearing it apart. He was like, "It's almost like Andor," which I also didn't finish. And like that, I immediately like clicked out of that. I'm like, no, like
as you should have.
You're absolutely your opinion is fucking invalid.
Absolutely.
Yeah, those people kill me when they don't finish anything, you know, especially that they have an opinion about or that they're complaining about. You didn't even finish it to see if any of your answers, you know, got answered or to see if it panned out into anything that you would even like.
And to not preface their review by starting with, oh, by the way, I haven't seen the other thing. Going full force, like with the confidence of like what I'm spewing is correct.
I just want to be clear. I didn't actually watch this, but I read a whole lot of fucking Twitter and Reddit things, and people are mad. And let me tell you why.
And it's enough. Sucks. That's all I needed. I can have a full formed opinion on it.
Yeah.
Fucking idiots.
I'm jumping on the mad train, not the hype train. Oh, okay. So,
but it makes that money.
In this episode, what did you guys take from, or what did you guys gather from when the twins said, when they were having the conversations, you know, about them kind of ascending, you know, or whatever, doing anything, and, you know, they're like, well, I don't want to do this, you know, blah, 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 blah. But when they said, there's not any kids here anyways.
Yeah.
And then the two behind them kind of
the handmaids
look at each other in that little moment.
Maybe they were, I didn't really think about that in the moment, but now that I'm thinking about it, like maybe they're still working on trying to, maybe this whole thing was an accident.
Yeah.
Like they were trying it and they can't replicate the results that they got for the first time. So they're still plugging away at it.
Because typically, like in real life, and not to say that it's like going to be so, you know, exact, but like in real life with in vitro fertilization, you typically get multiples. You get twins and triplets and shit like that. Maybe they could be pulling from real life and like the twins are a result of some type of in vitro fertilization.
Yeah.
Maybe they were looking at each other like, when's a good time to explain to the twins that you need a man?
Yeah. So that did bring up a lot of questions because I was like,
I'm kind of...
did they create them? Was it the Force, or did they take these kids? It's just one of those things that just brought up a lot of questions in that one moment for me, anyway.
Yeah, no, and there were good questions to make me want to continue watching.
Yeah,
I didn't have a problem with that. My little nitpick, I think you said it before, like what people complain about. I did have a little issue with the acting. I didn't feel like it was strong, mainly because the budget per episode is like $180 million, and I'm like, and maybe it's tough to find twins matching all the exact things that you need that are actors. I was like, it deserved stronger acting. But I didn't completely take away from me. Me and Doug were talking about. I go, my main problem was the fire.
Yeah.
As I'm watching it, I go, isn't this like a mountain made of stone? And the fire really is this some kind of space fire?
That was
It quickly blew the generator shit up. And
that was everyone's another sticking point on it. And someone
my only problem.
Someone was like, I don't want to jump on the jet fuel can't melt steel beams bandwagon. But what the fuck?
I had a big problem with it.
I saw it and was immediately like, okay, something else happened.
Yeah, I really do hope so.
It's not the fire, right? And if again, this is one of those things that if by the end of the season they leave it at somehow the door catching on fire led to power generation blowing up, fuck off. Then I will hop on the
lazy writing.
Let's get some new people in for Star Wars. But as at this moment, even they go into the room when all the witches are dead
in a neat pile.
Yeah, something happened.
Yeah.
That wasn't the fire because they could have left. Right? And then the Jedis were there looking for the twins. And like I said, you go to episode 2 where Torben, before he poisoned himself, was like, we thought we were doing the right thing. I really think they're gearing up for the Jedi. Fucking slaughtered everybody to get the twins.
I am on board.
And it'll be a question if it was their decision, the 4 on the ground, or if it was an order from higher up or something. I mean, I think there's so much to it that we'll get, but apparently Star Wars has to be spoon-fed.
I needed all the exposition right now.
Yeah.
There was another point someone made where during that whole ascension ceremony, there was one figure that was off to the side of everyone, fully robed and hooded, so you couldn't see them.
I'll have to watch again. I didn't see that.
I haven't been able to go back yet and see that, but I'm like, huh? I'm like, who the fuck was that?
Interesting.
That and the line a lot of people are jumping on with their pitchforks fully extended is where the mother tells the kids this isn't a galaxy that welcomes women like us. There was a specific line. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, messaging! Oh my god!"
But that is a message that's been in movies and shows and media forever.
Gwen Stacy was apparently it was sort of like trans messaging, or not messaging, but
Ghost Spider. Yeah. But just that idea of the religious sect, the ghost. Or the ghost. God damn it! You.
Sorry.
Yeah. the witches.
You're next.
A splinter in
your
mind.
That line of just we're not accepted in general society. Any media that involves people living in the woods or in the outskirts or up in the mountains, that's always existed. But now because of the culture wars, that's somehow, you're letting the other side win because they're using a trope that's existed forever.
So one of the YouTubers that I was watching addressed this line specifically, and he was like, "There's no bias in Star Wars. What are you talking about? Everyone's accepted. The only thing people didn't like were droids. Because if you go back to episode 4, and it was like, we don't like droids. You don't serve them in bars or whatever. That's the only bias. It's not like the Empire was made completely of humans, and the rebellion was human, and then all the aliens. There was bias everywhere in Star Wars. They just didn't outright say it. That shit, I was another one that had to immediately click off. I'm like, really? You guys are reaching.
Yeah.
You guys are looking for shit to be outraged by.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and don't get me wrong, this episode had its fucking issues.
Oh yeah,
that whole interpretive dance thing, like that. I was just like, ugh. I was giggling the whole time I was watching that.
Oh yeah.
Anybody else enjoy the like Kamehameha wave battle when she's like practicing, having them train?
I like I said last week about, I appreciate that the Force stuff they're doing is not introducing whatever powers they need to fill in. They're using just the old classic Force stuff, but they're showing like how it can be used in different creative ways. And like I think you said earlier about it just being interesting, and that's where I'm at this. Like this is all interesting. It's all new Star Wars stuff. It's definitely a new exploration of what the Jedis were and what they can be, and I think it even kind of links into a little bit of what like Yoda and Luke were going through in The Last Jedi. I know, don't fucking mention that movie, whatever.
Do you want to get him mad?
But
setting his cameras and stuff, he's gonna piss him off.
And I get it. People, you know, I'm sure people really thought the Jedi were like the most heroic, good people ever, and maybe it sucks to hear this, but it's something that Star Wars has been doing since Disney got it. The Mandalorian touched on the Jedi being the villains, right, in the Mandalorian story.
Right.
They were the evil space wizards.
Well, didn't like the episode 1, 2, and 3 also play with that idea that maybe the Jedi weren't correct?
Oh yeah. Immediately.
So it's been around.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely dogmatic and stuck in their ways and unflexible.
Yeah, I think you and I watched that video where basically they blame Yoda for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a YouTube video out there where like Yoda being way too strict on the rules is what kind of led to all this downside. And he's around, he's alive during this time period. So that's the big question, is Yoda going to show up and like slap the twins around?
I did hear the director said that she's not going to have him on there.
Stop tying things together.
I think one of the books I read in this era, because I read like a couple of the High Republic books, there's 3 Grandmasters, and Yoda's just one of them. So he can like, I guess they use that so he could like not be present for those books because he's off doing whatever Force things he's doing.
Nice.
And the other 2 are handling business in the temple.
I thought I read somewhere where like the purple lightsaber was for Grandmasters or something. Have you read anything about that?
I haven't heard that one, but
and there's something
I think
about,
she's one of the like higher level ones anyway. So
yeah. And there's something about them being purple because there's a hint of red or something. I don't know. I half-ass read any of the bullshit stuff I see. It's like, ooh, something about lightsabers, and, it's like, and then you get through the AI jarble at the first 3 paragraphs. That's just setting up what Star Wars is, and then you finally find it after 6 ads, and it's like, I don't fucking care anymore.
I got a question about the twins, specifically May. Did you feel like her just saying like, well, but I'll stop you, I'll kill you, was a little bit too abrupt, or was it seeded that she, you know, kind of leaned more?
No, that was weird.
Yeah.
Like if they leave that like that without any kind of like, you know, like someone said, like this whole thing smells like a Sith plot.
Yeah.
Like they're you know doing things to shift perspective and kind of like turn people against each other. And if that's not a part of that, then we're gonna have a problem. I'm gonna find what's her name, Leslie Headland.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so I'm gonna beat the bottom of her feet
With the chant that they were doing, that chant, it gave me Sith vibes, like the 2. Because I remember you telling me about the Sith code or whatever,
the rule of 2.
So when they were doing that chant and they were saying whatever they were saying about the 2, I was like, is this like Sith stuff right here that's happening? So
Well, I mean, think about it. If and we're getting into hypotheticals here, at least I am. You guys are going along with
Hype.
If you were the Sith in that time period and you wanted to try to like bring back the Sith religion and bring people to your side, like co-opting these like random Force user sects and manipulating them into coming to your side, you know, I think that's a good way to do it. Right? Like, you know, if this shadowy figure, maybe they're the ones that helped with the Immaculate Conception. And then, you know, with hopes of getting the twins to be that little, you know, thing. And it worked for May. And then Osha was like, I'll be a Jedi.
No, I think that's personally the whole idea behind the title of the Acolyte. Because the Sith, they're only supposed to be 2, like, official, like, in this time period. But that don't mean they can't have like a couple of potentials that like, oh, if this one doesn't work, I have these potential ones over here. So
absolutely,
it's always good to have a stable of hoes.
Mm-hmm. Force hose.
But one hoe man. Obviously, we're
Anyway,
hyped about
that
the
was
Acolyte.
that was my whole hype over that thing. Like I watched the episode and I immediately went to YouTube and Google started searching. I'm like, oh, people are fucking flipping their lids and I need to see it.
It's hard to like save the conversation for the pod because like as soon as I walked in, Jermaine wanted to fucking talk about it. Doug wanted to talk about it. I had to like la 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 the whole time. Like they just wouldn't stop. It's like you gotta save it for the pod. Sorry, that's why we don't communicate outside of this podcast. Save it for content. I'm really sorry, guys. You know, can't have friendships outside of this thing. Show needs to flourish.
Anyway, that's my stuff.
What the hell are you guys hyped about lately? Rudy, you go.
I did.
Yeah, that was
That was
That
the whole
was like a
thing.
shared thing.
no.
Yeah,
No,
that's
no.
what we're doing.
No, that
We're
was mine.
still at the beginning of the show.
Fuck off.
Yeah, we're still at the beginning. Oh, what have you guys? What are you, Jermaine?
Okay, so
I guess you can go.
I watched this Korean show, surprise,
I wasn't gonna say nothing, but
called The 8 Show. So it's
the 8 or the H?
The 8.
The 8.
So it's like the
The 8, the number 8.
The Ocho.
The 8 Show.
Let him get through it. Sorry.
So it has it's not like exactly like Squid Game, but there's something going on. So these
so.
these 8 people, whatever you want to say, they were just having a bad life, but they were going to end themselves.
Okay.
But they get chosen.
I'm on board.
Understandable.
And then they go in this room, they pick one of the cards, numbered 1 through 8, and then they're like, go to this place. So they all go. And then things start to happen. So you find out that that like there's eight floors. The person on the bottom floor is making this much money a minute, like a second or whatever, but everybody that's above you is making more money.
Okay.
So you find these things out, and then you also find out that they got to do things to keep the time going, because the longer you stay in here, the more money you make. And it's a thing to kind of, because they were going to kill themselves, they had the option to, here's some money, you can take this and go, or you can, take this option and possibly change your life, So as the shows goes on, things happen, and then it's kind of playful at first, but then it gets like real evil.
I was about to ask, is it like gory? Is it more suspenseful,
It's
horror,
just
tongue in cheek?
So once they figure out, like, they're like, oh shit, we got to keep doing things, because we want to make this money, and then they realize, oh, these people are making more money than me, that's not fair. And you can kind of buy things, with your money, but it costs a lot of money. But the show made me upset, and it's one of those shows that if asked, oh, would you recommend this to anybody? It was interesting enough, but it just pissed me off, because it was, you had the bad people, and then you had the somewhat kind of good people. And the good people were just getting shitted on. Like they were just going through the most.
It's life.
And the bad people were the ones that were doing it, to them. And then once the good people got in control, I wanted the bad people to fucking get it. Like I wanted it so bad, but as the show kept going, I'm like, there was like 2 characters. I was like, I just want you to just almost die to that point.
Yeah, bad people never get their fucking comeuppance.
Well,
Yeah.
It was just one of those things where, as the show ended, I was like, you motherfuckers didn't give me what I wanted. So I was like, I can't recommend this show because of that. Because of that.
was it 1 season out now, or?
Yes, it's only 1 season. Like, everything's out, and it does end, but it is an interesting show. But it's, when you see what these people do, you're like, damn, I want these people to get theirs too, but they just didn't. And I was like, nah.
Was there any of the things that they were made to do? Was there anything that was like surprisingly interesting? that you've never seen before or never
No,
even thought of?
It's just
No human centipede shit.
No, like it's just people
The
doing
second time
like
it's been brought up this week.
making people do like evil shit.
Oh.
Kind of.
Is a human centipede not evil?
No.
Sexy.
That's evil, but
Sick bastard.
but not in this show. Like they were just playing like almost like kiddie games, but they took it to like another level.
Interesting. Okay.
And they were just making people do
there's like-
some crazy.
So like the tone shifts part way as they like climb up the floors.
Yeah, the tone does shift, and there's like a lot of like backstabbing, and you see that there's a team that starts to.
So you ultimately didn't like it?
I didn't. Yeah, pretty much. I didn't like it because of.
Who got?
You didn't
got
like
kept
it. You didn't like it because of the way the story ended, but was it interesting enough to keep your attention the whole way through?
That's what I want to know.
It was interesting enough, yes, to keep you connected to the show, but while me and Kat were watching the show, and there was just moments that you were gonna get. So there's moments where people get things that you're like, oh, fucking finally.
Yeah.
But it was a dream, like it was like a fantasy.
Oh, fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. Fuck it.
That
Get
shit.
it out of
Haven't
here.
they learned from like years
get
ago?
outta
You know
here.
the show Dallas, where it's like, turns out, the whole JR being shot, it was a dream.
It was all a dream.
I was like, nah. I just didn't.
Yeah,
They
that's
didn't
shit.
get what they deserved, so
That's
therefore.
But
I
sometimes that's what makes a show good. Is like when you get so invested and you do kind of hate the results of it because you're rooting
a
for a
good point.
character or whatever. I
a
mean,
really
like
good point.
the newest Lost in Space. Like I fucking hated Dr. Smith.
Yeah.
Like I rarely like get really involved in like disliking a character, but like she.
What a good show, by the way.
Oh,
huh?
good show, great show.
Finish it.
And,
I like the way it finished.
yeah, I mean, I think they could have done more, but they like
they
final
just-
season or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And but
Fucking
man,
great
I hated her. It was the same thing. It was just like I hope she gets her.
But I
fucking,
love to hate her though.
Yeah, great character.
Yeah,
because of that.
And they're just assholes. Like they do asshole shit. I'm like, oh. I was like, fuck, if I was in that show,
Still
I
getting
would
emotional.
if I was in that show, I would beat your ass.
Tearing your shit off. Everyone's getting it.
Man, everybody getting it in here.
So that you said it was similar to Squid Games, which listening to it, it definitely sounds like they got inspiration from Squid Games. And we've seen a few others out there. Alice in Borderland, right? Alice in Borderland.
Alice in
Yeah,
Borderland.
I still need to watch the second season of
still
that.
haven't finished
Yeah, I know. Is that much in that genre necessary?
That
Like,
seems-
is there enough to say within that world of like people that are sad get this chance to kill people to be happy?
Honestly, because Kat started watching like a lot of K dramas, she's noticing that their culture, like people go through a lot of bad shit, like there's bullying and all kind of stuff, that they deal with and all kind of other things. So
And they don't got the American solution.
So these shows are kind of like a wish fulfillment thing a little bit. Even though sometimes the bullies still win.
yeah, like certain people don't get their just desserts and all that kind of thing, and it's a lot of these shows. I'm also finding out that they're kind of based off of, I guess you would say, like webtoons or
Well,
certain.
I was absolutely going to ask because I have the Wikipedia and it says that it was based on a Naver webtoon. And I'm like, what the fuck is a webtoon? You've mentioned webtoons before. What is a
like
webtoon?
It
Is
sounds like
it
a
old school
comic book.
stuff.
Like it's almost like a comic book, but it's
like a motion comic type thing? Or
no, like it's a comic book that
Like Cyanide and Happiness. You ever
You would read, like,
check out
online, like,
yeah,
you read
great
online.
great stuff.
so. It's almost like the Sunday papers, I guess, that we
Like a
used
comic
to get.
strip.
Yeah, that we used to read in like the Sunday paper, but it's just like, I guess, like a webtoon,
Wow,
as
that's-
in a comic that's online.
heavy material for a comic strip.
I can see it though. I mean, a lot of your webtoon stuff was just some guy like expressing himself through his little comic that he put out daily or weekly or whatever. Cyanide and Happiness. I used to wake up and that'd be the first thing I checked. Was their daily comic.
I love that
And
they have
I
shorts
think
now.
I think they eventually like changed the format of the website, and
did.
I'm like you, where it's like, oh, it's fucking different. Fuck you. We erased it from my memory, so I can't even like quick find it.
They blew up though because I love
yeah.
the sense of humor. But to answer your question, like, do we need that more in that genre? I think what's so fascinating about it, it's an exploration in like the human psyche, if you will, within societal boundaries or whatever, and then they get to explore that. Because what also popped in my head was, you guys ever watch? I think it was like a French movie called The Platform.
Yeah.
Really fucked up.
I think I've heard about it.
Really fucked up.
I never got around to seeing it.
Because it's a great movie.
Yeah, it's really fucked up. The synopsis is there's like they don't know how many floors, but like you get partnered up, whatever, on a platform, and there's this.
And they also volunteer for this, right?
Yeah, kind of, sort of, because they don't really know the end of everything. But anyways, the short synopsis is there's a big fucking long table of food, like all the goodies and everything, and as it goes down, like once a day or something like that, it all comes down, and then you grab what you eat, and then
croissant.
The people that get on the lower floors basically get nothing.
Oh.
But what's really fucked up, it's like, well, if you're in that vacuum, like how do people act? And it gets really gross. So people are like grabbing more than they need, and they're maybe doing stuff to the food that's really disgusting. And
you said this was French?
Yep.
No.
Your American side's really showing today. I'm kidding.
No. I'm saying that makes sense. Because going back to how like this show is playing off the Korean culture as far as bullying and stuff like that, and like this is obviously playing off like French hatred towards capitalism, and it's I think it's a commentary on like greed and stuff like that. Which I think,
it's exactly it's 100%, 1000%.
The bourgeoisie.
It was fascinating. You got to watch that. It's
but the twist, what I really liked about that platform too was there's so many levels, and they're all numbered. This floor.
That's
this
right.
floor,
Yeah.
But you can start off on this floor, and you can wake up and you can be like on the bottom of the
right.
floor,
Yeah.
or you can be on the top.
Yeah,
so
there's things that are thrown in there that really.
And once you get on the bottom, you're like, God damn, those people taking so much on the top, even though they were up there.
It's definitely not a movie that you walk away from going like, I feel pretty good about myself. You're like, oh God,
Yeah.
I need to watch Happy Tree Friends now. Webtoons.
Oh yeah, that was another good one.
God damn, they was even like not to get off topic, like a series on G4 for a minute. The Happy Tree Friends.
Oh
yeah, so
yeah.
fucking fantastic.
It's kind of fun.
Something's wrong with my brain.
Shit like this almost makes me want to go like look up all these webtoons because I wasn't
yes.
What is it called?
E-Bombs World.
The one that I didn't finish.
Because you went blank, my mind went blank.
the one with the evil spirits.
Huh?
The Count.
Yeah, I know what you're talking. Yeah, count.
It was another.
Something counter.
Another uncanny counter.
Yeah, uncanny counter.
There you go. That was another one that I saw
you for that.
was based off a webtoon. I'm like, what the fuck is a webtoon?
Yeah.
Interesting. That's kind of cool. Isaac, what are you hyped about?
You know what? A quick mention. Fucking as of this recording, Game of Thrones, the new season of House of Dragons is popping up.
Yeah.
Father's Day.
I absolutely need to watch like a recap because I don't remember. What was that, 6 years ago or something?
Yeah. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
And like I know we're spoiled, and I know they're giant budget TV shows that have movie level budgets, and so whatever. And writer strike. I'm like, yeah. I get it. I understand. But I fucking don't care because I want to stay on board, and in order for me to like stay interested, I don't have a list of things I can go back to it. I'm like, no, it's gonna leave my brain forever, and I'll forget about it unless you keep on top of it. Like it's another, again, going off topic, but it's one of the reasons why like I'm kind of angry at Rick and Morty for like having a long hiatus and then finally coming back. I'm like, I lost my interest. It's a great show, but it's too long. I know. I'm sorry. I'm fucking sorry. It was one of those first. I've done it with podcasts.
I'll put that in there for you.
I've done it with podcasts too, where it's like they keep you on and they're pumping out on a regular basis, and then they just have this really fucking fat hiatus, and you're like, well, I'm gonna fill that time slot in with other stuff. So
doesn't man, what's the character in Rick and Morty, the little yellow dude again?
Mr. Meeseeks? No, Mr. Poopy Butthole.
Yeah. Doesn't he always come at the end, like, well, it's going to be another 2 years, so whatever you guys do in that time, that's on you, and if you're going to sit there and wait.
But I'm excited for I don't know.
Hell yeah.
Do you guys know anything? Oh, no, one of you guys had said that the internet is equating it to the Red Wedding.
The first episode of the new season is being compared to the Red Wedding.
Well, because
Rachel, I'll give you that shout out, Rachel.
There you go. I'm sorry. Yeah.
The first season ended with like the one dragon getting fucking ripped in half.
Oh,
and
fuck,
like,
that's
like
right.
It ended pretty like
That's a solid
things
cliffhanger.
got fucked.
It's a really good cliffhanger.
So things got fucked. Other people are gonna get fucked. That's how that world works.
The title of that
Fucking
episode
going
is
all around.
I believe is A Son for a Son.
oh shit.
Oh yeah.
So
That sounds-
yeah, it's just getting real immediately.
Because
and they need to.
spin-off shows or whatever are really tough to like, get hooked into, and man, like they did a really good job in this first season. I was like, okay, I'm on board. I like having like, a Game of Thrones in my life. Unlike shows that don't die, like the fucking Walking Dead, and there's like five spin-offs and shit.
See, I do
This
have,
is actually quality stuff.
Eat the Walking Dead, smell
I
the
do
Walking
have
Dead.
people in my life that they watch Game of Thrones, but they're like, I can't watch this other one because it's not
the original.
Game of Thrones. It doesn't have my characters. I'm like, you got
No,
Yeah.
and
guys
there's
are trash.
there's always that thing where you're like, all right, let's get to know some of the characters, and I think that they did a fantastic job. We might have even like talked about the first season in past episodes, but
And at least there was like the families and stuff that were recognizable and
Can I pose a question?
sure.
Do you think do you trust them to tell a cohesive story with a satisfying ending where they know basically what happens? Because all this stuff happens and is history when Game of Thrones begins. So they pretty much know where it's all going, where it's going to end up. The whole thing is, the twists and turns to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you trust them to do a satisfying conclusion of this, as opposed to Game of Thrones, where they had no idea how it was going to end? G.R.R.R. Martin still doesn't know. Still hasn't released The Winds of Winter.
Yeah.
but are you more referring to like Khaleesi's like just flipping script?
I mean, the whole shitty ending of Game of Thrones.
I do feel, and I would hope that they learned their lesson.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting. You think
So
they learned
that's
the
what
lesson?
I'm saying, or he's saying, I have trust and hope in them that this time around that they'll do it justice.
Because
Yeah.
a big thing for me when they announced it was coming back, I'm like, I don't know, I've been hurt. I've been hurt. I don't know if I can give them a heart
That's
again.
right. I had to cuddle you for a while just to calm me down. Poor guy.
I'm one of the few people that like. I wasn't super satisfied with how Game of Thrones ended, but it wasn't
I don't
like
think anybody really was.
it didn't like break me. I still looked fondly back at that show and everything they did, and Khaleesi.
I'm about to fucking suicide jump over there right now. Fucking take you with me.
Grabs the nunchucks.
Like I said, I think they tried some stuff. I think I think they were all done with it at that point. Their heart wasn't in it. They had a season to wrap it up, and they got lazy.
I still no.
Wasn't
Go ahead.
the whole thing behind that, and I could be completely wrong, was that the creators were like, they got tapped to do a Star Wars.
Yes.
And then it fell through, so they kind of like, well, fuck this, because it's Star Wars, fuck this, right? But separately, I thought I had heard in an interview with J.R. Tolkien. Grr Tolkien that...
Martin. Tolkien was Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
well, fuck, god damn it. Can we like dub in me saying the correct thing?
No, absolutely.
I still haven't gotten mine.
We're actually gonna like have you saying Tolkien, and then we're gonna just repeat, slow it down, repeat it with the black and white.
Rightfully so.
Tolkien.
But he had.
Jesus.
fucking guy.
I think I remember him saying.
Oh, I'm frozen.
That. Oh.
Oh no, when did that happen?
I don't know.
Jesus Christ.
Oh no.
See, that's what happens when you say you like the ending of Game of Thrones.
Whoa! Okay,
It just
sorry.
happened.
Technical difficulties, but I think we're
neither.
back.
I didn't like that. A little.
I think my left nipple is a little higher than the right one now.
My third nipple's really erect.
Came through a little different.
As I was saying before, that weird technical difficulty. George R.R. Martin had to pull it up because my bad. You cut this out later, right, Rudy? In an interview, him addressing the ending of Game of Thrones and how nobody really liked the way everything fucking happened, he essentially said and I'm paraphrasing, is if it sounds like the butler's going to do it and it looks like the butler's going to do it, then the butler did it. Like, don't change it around. Everything's that's the whole thing with storytelling. You're dropping all of these seeds and Easter eggs and whatever the fuck else. The ending not necessarily is going to be predicted, but
everything should make sense leading up to it.
There you go.
Yeah, I think a lot of times Hollywood and these TV makers and stuff, TV show makers, like get excited about the idea of the twist. And I can understand, because we do live in this world of speculative writing and all, especially in the nerd shit, in the nerd realm. Like everyone starts this whole Reddit threads and Twitter X things or whatever, dedicated to like trying to guess what's going to happen or whatever. So I can understand the excitement to be like, you know what, let's twist it. Let's give them something they're not expecting, and that's generally just going to piss everyone off.
Have you seen the table reads when the actors are doing the table read?
No.
Yeah.
Oh man, Amelia Clark's face and Jon Snow.
On the last season, you mean,
Kit
right?
Harington.
Yeah, their faces are like, "Yep, like we don't like it." And even like on red carpet, when they're like, "Oh, so how's this? This last? How do you like the ending of the season?" She's like, "It's a show." She's very expressive. She couldn't hide it for nothing.
I did hear that Martin wanted, or he went to HBO. And he asked them, he's like, "Can you make it one more season? So don't wrap it. Can you make it one more season?" But they didn't. So it's just one of those things. And then I think the other George, but
Michael
Lucas,
Uh,
he recently came out and said in some article or some interview
you heard it here. George Lucas came out.
that he said that when studios get properties and these writers come on to write these stories, they take it on as their own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They don't keep it true to the story. You know, they take it and make it their own thing. And he says that they kind of got to stop doing that.
I think I read an article where R.R. Martin said the same thing. He was like, "Have you ever heard of
Maybe it was him. Maybe,
have you ever heard
of
a story that got better when a fucking showrunner director made it their own? It's good. Like this is what people wanted on, you know, in the translation. Mm-hmm. But no, these motherfuckers come in and I'm like, I'm gonna make it my own. Like, no, it just had to be your own. It's its own thing already."
And we've talked about this in the adaptation episode, but bears repeating that. Yes, I understand having some creative differences to make it adaptable for the small screen or big screen. But when you're making major fucking story changes like that, you're going to piss people. Like, why? Where do you get off thinking they could fucking do this shit with that season?
I would argue, though, that Khaleesi's change was not completely out of the blue. I mean, her whole story arc was basically her going from, this like almost childlike idea of running a government, and then like throughout the seasons she realized what it takes in that world to run, and like they were constantly kind of chipping away at her idealism of like this freedom and everything, and then finally it culminated and it's like, you know what, fuck it, no, this is how you rule. But I mean, I think they were kind of building up to maybe not that drastic. It still threw me off, and it still very much upset me because I was really looking for it. But it wasn't, to me, it wasn't out of the blue. I think it was just that final tipping point.
I just wish that it didn't necessarily happen right there in that moment. But at the same time, if it did, can we throw in like a little like mental breaks, like flashes in her head, you know, just to
interesting
get it, you know, a little bit more oomph.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I hope that the House of Dragons doesn't do that with the second season, because then I think per your being like, I got hurt once, then I will be done. Fool me once,
because they have like what, 2 more spinoffs in the works.
I thought one got canceled, but then they picked up. There's been a few that have gone like dropped and then picked up, and new ones or something. I think there's an animated, isn't there?
Are they still supposed to be
think
doing
so,
the
yeah.
John?
I think the Jon Snow one got Axed.
Yeah, that one I haven't heard of. The Hedge Knight is the one that I heard got picked up.
Oh
last.
yeah.
But yeah, they only have this one last chance.
Yeah, it is. I do appreciate Game of Thrones because I think even more than sci-fi, like fantasy is scary for people. Like they don't generally want to watch fantasy stuff.
Yeah,
and so I am happy that Game of Thrones brought people into that. Like, there's a little bit of magic and there's dragons. Like it's enough.
A whole lot of family fucking and also killing.
Yeah. Which I guess maybe that's what you need to do. It's like take Lord of the Rings, but put some fucking sexual doggy style in the first episode. You're good.
I more riff that, but more specifically the killing though. Like no character safe. I felt like it was relatively new for like shows that we were all invested in.
Yeah.
And like the whole Red Wedding. I'm like, what? You can kill characters that you care about off? Oh, no one's safe.
That's will make any show, and maybe that's why comic book movies and shows suck.
Doug,
yeah. What about you, Doug?
What are you hyped about?
What are you hyped about?
Oh, I got a lot. Well, real quick,
and that's it.
Say my channel. Now you know how it feels. Yeah, I know. So last weekend I went to IGN Live. It was the first time IGN, which is like a nerd website. It's been around forever. Some people hate it, some people don't, whatever. I still generally like IGN. So this year they did their first like live thing, and it was really cool. It was relatively cheap. I got a lot of free stuff, and it wasn't that packed, which I was afraid it, because when I looked up, I was afraid that it was going to be, because when I looked up the venue, I was like, oh, that's not that big. What are they going to do? But yeah, no, it wasn't that packed. They had like a game section where you could walk in, and I've been to these kind of cons before. It's like, hey, demo our games. And it's usually kind of like waiting in line, or you have the developer like breathing down your neck as you play, which is fun. But I mean, sometimes it's interesting. Sometimes the developers like have a lot of great stories and insights to tell you. This one, the developers were there, but they were a little like kicked back. I only had a couple that kind of walked me through some things, but for the most part, I was able, if I wanted to play a game that was out, I could pretty much just walk up to it. And I played some ones that I was, some games that I was very excited to finally try, like Squirrel with a Gun, which has been in development for a while. Where you
Squirrel with a gun?
Yes.
Fuck yeah.
You play as a squirrel with human guns. And so part of the mechanics is you use the guns to like jump. Like you get like a little Uzi and you gotta like and you like fly across like the thing. You're
great.
like escaping from a lab or something like that. That was cool. I finally got to try Dungeons of Hinterberg, which is a new game coming to Xbox and Steam. It's kind of like a Zelda-ish in style, or in game mechanic style, but then the setting is kind of modern and you have like a hoverboard and stuff. And then beyond the gaming, yes, exactly. Squirrel with a gun. It's amazing.
Fucking great.
Beyond the gaming, there was like live tapings, a lot of their shows, and I got to meet Sydney Goodman. I got to do a little teleprompter reading of like the fix, which is one of the
Did really good.
things. Thank you.
Yeah.
Traitor.
Yeah, I still like. I still just like screaming into the mic.
While I was watching, I think I was like, drop hypertech. Drop hypertech. Fucking do it.
I needed him to do the witness me.
Well,
and
so
then...
originally I was gonna do that with Sydney Goodman, like because she was there doing that with people, and I was the first person that they decided there wasn't enough time, so I just took the photo with her.
Oh.
But so I was getting nervous about doing it with her, but then I went back in line to do it by myself. But I had to remind myself, like, don't say hypertech. Like, even though there was a teleprompter, like, you know, I was like,
did they use it in anything, or it was just do you want to do it prompter?
Yeah,
That's fun.
just, and we had to sign a waiver, so maybe they'll post it somewhere.
Oh.
But it was still cool. I liked that, and then some of the panels were interesting. They had some of the cast from the Borderlands movie coming out, and Eli Roth was there, and he's hilarious. Definitely someone I want to pay more attention to. Yeah, Johnny Rico himself, because there's a new Starship Troopers game coming out that anyone that's in the gaming world obviously has heard of Helldivers 2 at this point, which everyone immediately compared to Starship Troopers. So now that there's an official Starship Troopers game coming out, a lot of people are kind of like, oh, is there a reason for it? But it is going to be different. There's going to be like base building, and then some of the game mechanics as far as like the bugs actually pile up. So you can actually like climb up the bugs as you kill them, or you can get buried in them. I think that's really cool. And the guy that plays Johnny Rico, Casper Van Dien, loves it. he loves being Johnny Rico. He came out there and he said all the lines.
I've heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was saying like, yeah, people will yell the lines to him and he'll just yell them right back. Like he loves it.
Yeah, that's a classic movie. Like that's definitely a
For
cult,
sure.
cult classic.
I mean, people don't recognize him in all of his other roles.
Did he?
Apparently, he's done a shit ton of movies. I was listening to Michael Rosenbaum's podcast, Inside of You.
Yeah.
He had Casper Van Dien on recently, and I was listening to that, and he asked him, he's like, "Do you ever get tired of all the references to Starship Troopers?" And he was like, "No, I fucking love it."
Yeah.
He was like, "How rare is it to be in a movie that just penetrates the psyche of people that they see you walking on the street, they're like, Rico!" He's like, he was talking about being in some kind of panel with like Quentin Tarantino and friends, like Eli Roth and like a bunch of directors like that.
Yeah.
And he was like, I was in that group, and all they wanted to talk about was Starship Troopers. He was nerding out, like, oh, I want to, ask you all these questions. And they're like fucking Paul Verhoeven, Starship Troopers, like the whole thing, like they wanted to know about that movie and like how it was working with that director. And he's like, I should have expected it because they're all film nerds, like first and foremost. Mm-hmm. But like he's really cool about it.
Yeah,
I like that.
it was fun. The other panel that I went to was they had the director of John Wick. His name was hard to say. I'm not going to try.
Isn't it Paul something?
You're going to look up. It's going to be like Paul Smith. But that was super interesting because we went through a scene. We all had to vote on which scene we wanted to watch, and we all picked John Wick's first fight with Kane in John Wick 4, played by Donnie Yen. Yeah. God, I've been saying that name all week because I've been telling the story all week.
Was the director Chad Stahelski?
Yes. Who used to be a stuntman himself. So that was
cool.
It was certainly like a really cool panel to go to because not only do you get directing stuff, you get stunt stuff.
Yeah.
I think someone asked him about CG, and surprisingly, I say surprisingly because at the moment it was surprising, but after he said it, it makes a lot of sense. He said he loves CG.
Yeah.
And his reasoning was it allows them to do more practical stunts. Like he was saying about like getting hit by a car, you used to have to go like 10 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm. You could sell the stunt more.
Yeah, well, saying now you can go like 20, 25 because you can just CG out all the pads. Mm-hmm. Like you can put more padding on the ground on everything, and then you just edit it out, and you can start hitting. Start doing way more things. The wires are easier to take out, so you can start really throwing people around. But going back, so we were breaking down that scene with John Wick versus Kane, and he was saying that I guess they originally had some like 90-second sword fight planned out, and they did a cut. John Wick and Donnie Yen's character like going at it. They're like, all right, let's reshoot, and they started redoing it. I guess Donnie Yen just like fucking turboed, and just like to the point where Keanu Reeves just ran away, and came back and was like, yeah, John Wick can't beat this guy, not in a sword fight. So they redid the scene where John Wick is spending most of it running away trying to shoot him.
Yeah, because in that movie, like I was like, oh, Keanu Reeves is he's looking his age, he's acting his age now.
Yeah.
How dare you?
And Donnie Yen's a badass.
He's a fucking badass.
Yeah, and they asked him about like the idea that Donnie Yen had just played a blind swordsman in Rogue One.
Time counting.
And if there was like any, pause to making him play that character again, basically, or that type of character, and he said no. And then at the end of that scene, Donnie Yen Kane fought the Japanese guy that was in Shogun. And I don't remember his name as the actor, or his character's name. But he was saying that was kind of interesting because they both are really good swordsmen, but different styles, and then to try to get those two styles to work cinematically in a scene was a little difficult. But those two are professionals, and they got it to work and everything like that. So that was my experience with IGN Live. I hope they do it again next year. It was a blast. My throat started hurting from all the hooting and hollering because it's live taping. So if you're standing there, they're just like, okay, when we come back, everyone needs to scream. Yeah. And it's like, and they were handing out like. At first, it was like, oh, here's some T-shirts, here's some things. And then they just like randomly pull out, here's a Darth Vader statue. You're yelling a lot. I mean, there was huge prizes.
Why is it not dead center
on the table? Spontaneously combusted and like, oh, give it to me.
Yeah. They were giving those mostly to the people up front. And me being a giant, I never like make my way to the front. Because if I was there, like all their live taping would just fed like my head. Like... Like just, and I'd be like, everybody.
That's the content I want to see.
Yeah. It would have been a meme of just like, who's head guy?
Yeah. Hey man, that's what happens. We need.
I would have done like weird
PR.
like hand motions, like everyone scream.
If you were in the front
Dude.
and you were that tall, they would have gave you something for you to go to the back.
Yeah. It's like, hey,
Get your ass in the back.
what do you want? What do you want? I want that fucking Cyberpunk Edge Runners jacket that I missed out on. I was like walking up and I'm like, oh, what are they tossing on? Oh, motherfuck, I wanted that. I did catch one like sweater and I looked at it, I was like, that's too fucking small. So I gave it to someone next to me.
Jermaine could have fit in it.
Yeah.
What is this?
I didn't want to carry something around. That is Diva's from Overwatch. That is her mech, but I think that's the Porsche. Like they did a collab with Porsche, and so they made like a Porsche version of her Diva mech.
Very fucking cool.
Yeah. They only had like a couple statues. They had that and like the Elden Ring egg thing that was kind of creepy. And
You said you got the whole VIP package thing?
yeah, it was like $55 for the 3-day VIP pass, and it came with like a free hat, a free T-shirt.
You been full 3 days?
I didn't go Sunday. I was going to, but again, my throat was kind of hurting at that point, and something came up, and I was like, all right, I got 2 days of this.
Man.
Where was it held this year? I mean, sorry, this year. Where was it held?
It was at called the Magic Box, which is like a venue inside the Reef. If it's in downtown Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
If you've ever driven on like the 5 or the 101 even, you might see like a building off to the south that's got like a amazing wraparound TV on the top that's super bright and super high def.
Yeah.
That's the Reef.
Huh.
Yeah, when I pulled up to it, I was like, oh, I get to be in that building that I point at. Because this TV is like...
That I point at.
Because we've like hiked like the Hollywood Hills hike or Runyon Canyon, and you'll still see it. And you'll be like, oh, there's that fucking building. Like that TV is so high def. Anyway, the other thing I'm hyped about... I mean, sorry, unless you guys have more questions about that.
No, keep going.
Is Absolute Power, DC Comics' new summer blockbuster comic. I haven't really been reading comics in a long, long time. And I've told myself, like, I want to get back into it. And I was like, this moment, because I think this story is going to lead into DC's first attempt at, like, a Marvel's Ultimate. Like, I think DC is planning on doing an alternate story that's in that same idea of Marvel's Ultimate universe. And I think this is the story that leads into it. I could be wrong, take your hype facts. Yeah, look it up. But Absolute Power, I'm very stoked for. They did a really cool like animated trailer for it.
Oh, that's the one you sent me, right? That was really cool.
No, so I have to preface this because on record here on the show, I have said that I don't like.
There you go. I was waiting for it.
Yes, but I realized I don't like movies and shows where they take away the hero's powers.
Oh, that's right.
Because that's this setup, is that the Trinity of Evil, which is Amanda Waller, Failsafe, and the Brainiac Queen, I'll get into that, basically steal the Justice League's powers and some other villains' powers and heroes' powers. I think it's exciting in comic books when that happens, because comic books come out like 3 a month for a character, where you get years of stories with them, with their powers, and you see it, and then... Because also the comic books exist in a much, much larger shared universe. When they take away Superman's powers, like he's still there as a guiding thing, and then it allows other characters to kind of take the spotlight. And again, we've gotten enough. When a movie, like if we get a Superman movie every 5 years and they decide to do one where he doesn't have his powers, fuck that. Like we only get one every 5 years. Like I mean, there is certainly an interesting story to tell of a powerless Superman. But that I feel like that only works if we're getting one like every year, But if we have to wait so long in between them, like I want to see Superman like at his peak fighting his best villain, right? Like that's the whole point of a movie.
Yeah.
Like you can't have powerless Superman like stopping crime. I mean, there's still a story to be told, but
we already got Smallville where he couldn't fly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's still a great show.
Never seen it.
I know, because you're trash.
So real quick, so the Trinity of Evil, Amanda Waller, we all know she leads Suicide Squad. I don't know why all of a sudden she decided that she wants to like wipe out crime using, I think she's going to use like Amazo robots, which Amazo is a villain. Anyone that's familiar with the Justice League.
Amazo.
Amazo, he was a guy that basically embodied all of their powers, right?
Yeah, learns it.
So I think in this they're going to use individual like Amazo robots to have like this one's going to be like the Superman Amazo, this one's going to be a Green Lantern Amazo. That's what I'm gathering from some of the pictures. So again, I don't know why Amanda Waller suddenly went this extreme. I'm going to try to read some of the like
She's probably tired of all
leading
this
up to it. Yeah, maybe. And then Failsafe. You guys know Failsafe? I had to look him up.
So it's funny. I just listened to a YouTube video about what's happening in the Batman comics right now. Mm-hmm. So I know. So I don't know, but like I got the explanation for Failsafe and Batman and his backup personality, Zur-En-Arrh. So and like the guy was going into it. He's like, yeah, Zur-En-Arrh or Failsafe is developing a Mesotech, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know that all that was leading into this absolute power thing.
I think the Superman stories, which was like the House of Brainiac, I think that's leading into this. And then, the Batman stuff. So Failsafe. So we've talked about the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh before on this show, I think in the Batman episode. So Zur-En-Arrh is this like split personality that Batman uses like when shit gets crazy, right? He basically has to disassociate and he becomes this alternate personality. That personality, the Zur-En-Arrh, decided that Batman would be too scary and, if he went rogue. So developed this android Failsafe to basically take on a rogue Batman. And then like did whatever split personality stuff. So Bruce Wayne, real Batman, wouldn't remember that it was made. And then so at some point, the Penguin, I guess, fakes his own death and blames Batman. And everyone believes it, that Batman killed the Penguin, which triggers Failsafe. Because now Batman's gone rogue. And then so Failsafe comes and just wipes the floor with fucking everyone. I've looked at a little bit, like he stabs Superman with a kryptonite sword and like it takes everyone to bring down Failsafe. And that was like Failsafe 1.0. Now Failsafe is working with Amanda Waller and doing all this crazy stuff. So again, like I love comic books because you can get into those like wild like backstories of a villain, which again, movies and shows like will never have the history and time
at all
to do something like that. Like they couldn't introduce the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh.
Could you imagine them like Gunn just being like, yeah, we're gonna do that. Yeah. And people would freak their fucking like normies would just be like, what the fuck?
With the Star Wars crawl.
Hold
on, let me tell you, Batman sometimes uses this alternate personality. It just reads like a nerd explaining it.
If Rebel Moon had Anthony Hopkins essentially doing like a verbal scroll, I think you can get Morgan Freeman to fucking do this.
That'd be cool. It's like, you guys think you know Batman, but sometimes, and then he just burst out in the weird purple and red.
Turns out there was more to Batman than meets the eye, and then just like fucking let's do it. Come on, Hollywood, let the Hypertech write some shit.
It's weird because
death threats.
In the recap that I was watching, somehow Zur-En-Arrh Batman's personality is downloaded into Failsafe.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. See, I thought I saw someone reference that. So okay.
So like that. So that android / alternate personality Batman thinks he's like the real deal, and he's going to stop crime completely.
Yeah,
because Batman's too soft. He's going to fail. But he's still going to do it without, killing everyone, apparently. I don't know. He still has like a moral code, but it's a little more extreme. But he's still like very rigid on that. Like, I'm not going to kill people.
Just, bring him to that frame.
Because he's supposed to be the fail-safe against Batman going rogue and just, murdering people everywhere. So
he can't
because it's
stop
like
that by
RoboCop,
doing
he
the
still
same
has
thing.
his prime directives that he can't
And I know
do certain things.
He's made a new Robin, which I think is just a clone of Bruce. So I think he cloned Bruce Wayne to make a new Robin.
Oh, that's a
I hadn't seen that.
Yeah. And so like I think in the comics right now, like Damian and Tim are trying to take down this like new Robin, and so they've been doing so much. I have so much to try to catch up on before Absolute Power starts in July.
So they're fighting Terry McGinnis?
It starts in July. I use the DC Infinite Ultimate app or whatever, and so I'll start reading it a month later, and so I have some time to catch up on things. The other part of the Trinity of Evil is the Brainiac Queen, which I know very little about, other than they introduced her in this House of Brainiac story that Superman did. What I did see was, I guess part of the story was Lobo found a bunch of his people, I think in like a bottled city on Brainiac's ship, because Brainiac captures cities and puts them in bottles.
Yeah.
And so he actually had like an army of his people, and we all know Lobo's, like his race are like basically immortal or badasses, other than Lobo killed them all up until this way. Anyway, so when Brainiac introduced the Brainiac Queen, she killed them all. So she's a badass.
Damn.
Like Brainiac gave some speech about like, oh, you know, when I first saw you, like I thought you guys were immortal, but then Lobo killed you. Also, there is a way or something, and then Brainiac Queen was like, snake.
So you have
It was like 2 pages of just like her basically weed whacking him.
so you have these like two highly overpowered villains.
Yeah,
And then Amanda Waller.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's Amanda fucking Waller.
Master of red tape.
Yeah. Well, 'cause
Bureaucracy. Fill this form in triplicate.
Yeah.
No.
Maybe she put bombs in their heads.
My only question is, so they're depowering everyone. Like, are they making Batman like fat and have a low IQ?
I think
Is that how you depower?
I was
Does that
joking.
depower
I
us?
was joking with my cousin that the subtitle of this should be like Batman's got it.
Like I see that group shot. I see Batman looking like, welcome.
Yeah, I mean, sure, Batman like he's obviously gonna have to like step up.
It's just another Tuesday for me.
Yeah. Wonder Woman will probably like she obviously still has her fighting skills and everything like that. And the big thing, because everyone fucking touches themselves so much over it, the excitement for it is Superman's gonna be in his black suit again.
Oh.
Yeah.
What?
It's not that big fucking deal. I don't know. I just think back to all the Justice League stuff when it was like,
bury the
are
lead.
we gonna see Superman in the black suit? Oh my god! And so when they release this, I just imagine like 50,000 nerds just fucking coming.
Should have wore his brown pants.
Because that thing is still crazy to me.
Really
because
committed to that.
Not
we
even
already saw
drunk.
him in his black suit.
I haven't drank since like Sunday.
He had that dream in the
Yeah. Oh
first
yeah.
movie. I'm like, we kind of already saw it. But anyways, yeah.
It's still such a big deal. Like I don't understand it, but whatever.
But no mullet though.
Yeah. I
Gotta
know
have power
more.
mullet.
Damn bastards.
So it's power lies in the mullet.
I mean, it is cool, and it makes sense. He's out because in that trailer that they dropped, like Superman gets shot and like hurt, so it makes sense to go back to the black suit. Because didn't that help him heal or something? Like it absorbed the sun more, some Kryptonian tech. I don't know.
I mean,
just write shit as you go.
Black naturally absorbs
Yeah,
heat and light within light colored clothes. So
yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, like it is interesting them being depowered and facing essentially not only depowered, like their powers have been stolen. So they've shown, like I was saying, the Amazo bots with like the Green Lantern ring and all these powers. So there is a bit of like, all right, how they're gonna get themselves out of this one, which I think makes for an interesting read versus like the usual like how they're gonna get themselves out of this one. I don't know, laser beams and fist punches.
speaking of comics, has the final issue of Godzilla Kong versus Justice League dropped yet?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't been keeping up on a lot of comics. So the DC app finally, I don't know when they did it, but I just finally noticed it that they've actually put release dates on it, on everything, which like for the longest time, I just kind of stopped using the app because I just couldn't tell, okay, what's the most recent one? Because they would just list like, here's some new releases, but it included stuff that was just added to the app. So it could still be some 10-year-old story or 5-year-old stories. It's just now getting released on the app. And so that was all listed under new releases. Now there's actual like release dates on it. It's like, all right, cool. This is the one from like this May. Like this is the latest.
I need you to read the last one.
Okay.
I need you to read it quickly.
Just right now?
Just so we can react
The
to
way
it.
that
Are you talking about a certain thing about King Kong?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. I'll have to get to it.
I know, right?
That shit, I was like, what the fuck?
what?
Hey,
It's so awesome, though.
His comics, baby.
To me,
and I
yeah.
love it.
I was like, yeah.
I think did he end up with the Green Lantern ring? I thought I saw a spoiler of that or something.
I don't know. It
Okay.
could be.
Okay.
Me neither.
Yeah, that's how comics work.
Yeah.
I kind of that's like my favorite thing about the Green Lantern ring is I feel like anytime they do an alternate universe, it's like, all right, who do we give the ring to? Who's gonna get it? Santa Claus? Fucking let's do it. That'll help him. Like, yeah.
The way that trailer was produced, though, was really fucking cool. I'm like, do they do comics like that? Full like
no,
voice acting and sound effects?
It would be interesting. I mean, it would cost too much,
It
but
was really well done.
yeah, they've been really. What we're talking about is they did an animated trailer of a comic book, so it was images from the comic book, but they use a little like AI and photoshopping and sound effects and creative like cutting and layering
Full
of
on
it.
music, sound design.
Yeah.
You do have certain fans when they do like comic reviews, you know, of certain comic arcs or something like that. Sometimes they'll animate the panels and things, you know, to actually, you know, get you hooked to it more.
They call them motion comics, and I've seen a couple of YouTube. Like I've gone on a couple of deep dives, and I'm like, oh shit, he's like just in that same style where they kind of animate the thing, and you know, characters kind of like they're cut out, but they fly in.
Yeah.
So it seems like it's like in action. I'm like, oh, that's fucking cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential to something like that.
I would totally watch series like that for you know, for regular comics.
Yeah.
Get on that.
The hype attack.
Speaking of comics and animation, I haven't watched it yet. Is the Watchmen animated movies released a trailer today?
Yeah,
I need to watch it still.
they did. I did just recently watch. I'm gonna get this wrong, but the part 1, the DC animated movie of
Infinite Crisis?
Infinite Crisis.
Or Crisis on Infinite Earths, right? I think it was the original. Yeah. Crisis on Infinite Earths. Yeah. I still need to watch that.
I need part 2 now.
I still haven't watched that. That's been out for a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, part 1 has been out for a little while.
I think it was out for like to buy or something. Like, is it out to just stream now or
Yeah, when I saw like the
free stream?
$20,
It's on
I'm like,
HBO,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
This on
that might be
HBO.
worth watching.
We've mentioned animated stuff before, or like, you know,
DC's animated stuff is top notch.
that's exactly it. Like, I want to see a lot more of DC animated movies, and maybe not necessarily shows, but movies, just because they have the whole self-contained, you know.
Yeah, we're not getting them anymore. James Gunn axed them all. No, I think they did just announce that the
facts.
the beginning of the DCU, which will be Creature Commandos, which is an animated show. I think that comes out December of this year, and that's like the beginning of the DCU. Though they've said Superman's supposed to be the beginning of it, even though this is coming out first. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
James Gunn doing his thing.
I trust him. Let him cook.
Yeah, as long as it's not the nipple jokes.
My nipples. What else are you guys hyped about?
Everything.
We got more to the list. We have time for more on the list.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're roughly an hour in.
20.
I mean, with the we're close. We're around an hour, so
All right, well, I'll break mine down right quick.
Break it down.
I'm
Diff-
very interested in the movie A Quiet Place Day One. I really want to see that. I'm a fan of that franchise. And Alien Romulus.
oh my god,
I definitely want to see that.
I am so happy that they're going back to like a horror vibe.
Yeah.
I've never felt more uncomfortable than seeing the fucking facehugger tentacle
Oh
feeding into that guy's mouth in that trailer.
gosh,
I was like,
It's really,
I was like,
Sorry,
no.
it's really suggestive when you're doing that on camera without an actual face hugger.
Like,
That's getting true.
Future Rudy, you're gonna have to animate some shit.
There's such a thing as too deep.
Never heard.
Isn't this? I could be wrong, but isn't this movie supposed to take place in between the first Alien and Aliens 2?
Sure.
It's
Something like
certainly.
that. Is that where it's
I
at?
think it's
I think
certainly
so.
ignoring some of the later
Oh
stuff.
yeah. And
I saw a tagline that said it was like it's supposed to be like half alien and half aliens, like in its vibe.
Okay.
Like it's still that
yeah,
horror,
yeah,
but
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
still that space marine, like
Decades before Aliens.
Okay. Was it Aliens where it was like, we're not gonna make it? Was that movie?
Game over, man.
Game over, man.
Bill Paxton, like great.
Yeah.
that we're not gonna make it. Wasn't that the Steven Seagal movie? Kurt Russell
Probably.
in the plane.
Can I jump on
yeah.
a movie thing? Like movies that are coming out?
No,
Sure.
shut up.
oh no, yeah, you can
Jermaine turn.
Go
on.
no, but that was so Quiet Place, Alien Romulus, and then because of the casting of Superman Legacy, how we're supposed to get Guy Gardner,
Nathan Fillion.
Fillion?
yeah,
Philly steaks.
Hawk Girl, Mrs. Terrific,
Isabella Merced.
and Metamorpho. Like,
Oh yeah, everybody.
I'm just interested to see like how everything is gonna just
Feel.
like just lock into place, because I don't have a doubt in my mind that James Gunn can't do it, because I've seen just watching him work with Guardians of the Galaxy, like he can handle like a squad, but it's just going to be very interesting to see this cast in this movie, so that necessarily has me hyped, and then of course to see where it goes after that. But those are my probably for now, anyways, like my top 3 things that I'm hyped about.
I really don't think we're gonna get them as a squad. I mean, I hope not, because that's not really a team up. Like that's not a team that's existed.
I agree.
Yet.
I don't think it's gonna be a squad, but what I really meant was just him being able to write characters and just have a solid story. I just think it's gonna be interesting to see like where these characters are gonna end up in this movie and how he's gonna use them and how everything's gonna just establish itself to push us forward.
There, not to like turn this into a James Gunn speculation.
Well, it already is. There you go, Doug. Just go for it.
I mean, when I heard like how many characters were going to be in it, I instantly kind of assumed like, all right, Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, like he might just be there in the beginning to get his ass kicked by the villain, right? You know, and even like, and then some of the other characters like Hawkgirl, like, because I know James Gunn wants to like hit the ground running with this is an established universe. It's not we're not gonna replay this whole like what are superheroes. So I could totally see just all of these heroes that they've talked about kind of being like quick scene, quick background establishing
Evidence to that, by the way, when Nate Fillion is in a James Gunn movie, it's like, here's my buddy Nate Fillion. It's never like, no, you're in a full role.
Yeah,
so
I'm sure they'll
totally
make a joke of like, oh, the Green Lantern's here. Oh,
it's gonna be Superman like calling all points to the Justice League, and it's gonna be like a vid window of all these characters, and be like, sorry, we're busy fighting over here. And
be that,
but look, they were all in the movie.
Yeah, there's certainly like that kind of potential. I mean, because I think one thing to establish Superman, even though the audience know who Superman is, but I think a great way to establish Superman's power is just like showing like some powerful heroes, and then you show them getting their ass kicked, and then Superman saves the day. Yeah. Like it's a great way to do it. And if you bring in these characters, and
I hope he's watching everybody get their ass beat as he's putting on his boots.
Yeah,
that's what happened in that
dramatic
still.
entrance.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But you mentioned A Quiet Place.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm just imagining like the first 15 minutes of the movie is just all these characters getting their ass kicked, and they just keep like panning back, and he's sitting there like making his coffee, and he's not in super speed.
Could you get my? This is really hard.
Like they gotta have like his cat running around to establish that he's not in super speed, like getting his zipper, like fucking aliens, like
he has a closet of like capes. They're all the same, but he's like,
now you're in this one.
They're all labeled Monday through Sunday. And like,
they'd have
cape again.
He'd have to like pull out the suit that doesn't have the undies. It's like, oh, that was a bad idea. or like the one with the collar. Oh, that was a horrible idea.
What was I thinking?
The one with nipples. That's gonna be Gunn's only nipple reference.
Yeah,
joke.
Yeah, hopefully.
But with A Quiet Place, I think I mentioned before, like A Quiet Place 2, I was excited for, and then it just turned into like a let's do all of these normal things, but let's do them quietly. And I was like, it's kind of played out. That movie annoyed me, and I'm excited to see this one, to see where it all began. Yeah. But then I'm like, well, where can the story go? You know what I mean? It's a really strong cast. I love John Krasinski, but is he doing this one? Is he writing this? No, I don't know. I have to look that up. Sorry. But I'll watch it. But I don't really have high expectations.
I still haven't watched the second one because I kind of feared the same thing.
I haven't watched any of them.
Oh, you're trash.
The first one's really weird.
I'm just more so interested in it because of the first one, more so because everybody already had to walk around quiet. They knew these things were there, but now we're getting a movie where this is when they come, and they're here, and you're going to see a lot more chaos and people get taken out. But it's also because I like that that other movie, Battle Los Angeles. Have you guys all seen that?
By the way, director Michael Sarnowski is for Quiet Place Day 1.
So
who developed the story with John Krasinski? So it's still in the creator's hands.
You're adorable, John Krasinski.
So that's more so why
Mike Wazowski.
I'm excited about this movie. Anything that has to do with aliens and the invasion or something like that, like I'm there. So
like this, like you were saying, like in the previous Quiet Places, they knew the rules. In this one, it's going to be that learning process, which I mean, think about it. Like, how much noise do you make throughout the day that, I mean, it's one day to sit there and be like, no, don't knock on the door. Yeah. But then you, like me, like just getting up or like standing up and be like, everyone be quiet. It's like, all right, everyone get up and go. I'd be like, oh. Yeah.
I was saying, I'd be done in the first minute of the film.
I grunt constantly. Like,
anybody be quiet? Arthritis, just clicking and popping. You're done for it.
Yeah,
like, how sensitive is their hearing?
But definitely watch the first one, though.
Yeah, or like
I would put that on your list. Like,
sometimes I have like a nervous or like bored snapping. Like if I'm out and like don't know what to do with my hands, like
waiting for the aliens. Well, that was the magic of the first one. Was like there was a little bit of flashback, so you get it, and just like that self-contained story and the whole thing.
And there was barely any dialogue.
Yeah,
because they had to be quiet.
It's called Quiet Place,
which all movie theaters should be.
It was really cool though when in that movie everybody actually shut the fuck up. It was great. But with this one, it's kind of that thing where you go, do I need an origin story? What I was gonna say was from the trailers themselves, per like learning the rules and stuff. The recent trailer came out. I'm like, oh, it looks like they kind of learned the rules. They figured that shit out really fast. So we'll see. I'm gonna watch it and we'll see how it turns out.
I thought the same thing. I'm curious how they figured that out really quick.
Great cast though. I like the cast. I mean, the other one didn't have a problem with the cast either. So
what's his name from Stranger Things, right?
Yeah, Joseph Quinn.
Yeah. Good to see anyone that could break out of like a show like Stranger Things to go get more work.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So yeah.
How in the shit, pun intended, do you take a quiet dump in the quiet place?
So you gotta like submerge into the water.
Yeah, because like I'm sitting here thinking about it. Like, how do you take? Sometimes I
close the show out. Rudy.
Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes there's no
poll
noise
that we need to put up.
And
this is the question on the Instagram.
Sometimes I put out something that like ricochets off the toilet and you hear the zing. Yeah, and like how do you? What kind of anal silencer do you use for that?
I don't know. I mean, you'd have to avoid any sort of food that creates gas. Right?
That's a good point.
Like just gas in general, you'd have to avoid.
A lot of brands.
Heartburn stuff, like fiber. Yeah.
You might be safe because the
I wait for Jermaine to play.
The shit that comes out, the aliens will probably come running after you. You
gotta watch what you eat. You gotta have your ghost dumps. You got to make sure you're like spreading cheeks so that you get the nice. If you got to gas
they
out.
They learn that the aliens have a little bit of a taste.
Absolutely apologize for taking it.
Fuck off.
For taking it to the potty humor, but there's questions I need answered.
Yeah, I mean, what if that was it? Like the aliens quickly learn like that noise means bad taste.
Right. No, this is not right yet.
It's like they hear noise. Noise. Oh no, that's that noise.
Bad noise.
Leave
bad
them.
Noise.
No, it's a soundproof. It's a soundproof stall. There you go.
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah, a lot of padding. There you go.
Yeah, all right. Like submerge in the water.
Because you got to go in your neighbor's like pool or spa.
It's a tub. Put your head out. Do you clean the bathtub between each one though, or do you just let it float?
No.
How do you clean it between each one? How do you?
You don't flush.
Yeah, well, you just don't use a toilet. You go into the ground.
Have you guys?
You go out into the woods because if you shit in the woods, does it make a sound?
Yeah.
There is a thing where people are starting to poop in the showers.
What the fuck is happening?
No,
conserve
it is
water?
a thing. Yes, to conserve water. So they'll just push the shit.
We are in a drought.
I mean, what was the line? What was the line from Seinfeld? It's all the same drain.
Always pees in the drain.
Yeah.
There's also another episode where Kramer, he's like likes to do everything in the shower, taking calls, he's making salads and stuff like that. But he's having like a blockage, so he installed a garbage disposal in the drain. You would do that, and then so you don't have to waffle down your. What's happening in this fucking show?
Hey, well, don't you drink?
What's happening to this world
after dark?
But the last person I ever thought would come up with poop down the shower drain is Jermaine. It's a day of surprises and technical difficulties everywhere.
When you listen to morning radio on the drive to work, they talk about the most weirdest topics.
Dude.
But it would be a time saver.
I can, just the
come
act.
on, let me close it.
Just
Exactly
putting
what the guy said.
just putting my big toe on the log and just trying to squish it down is just
Can I put us
off-putting.
out of our misery?
It's
please?
just off-putting.
Can I close it over? That's it has to be
like the Play-Doh says.
not as
When
good
you're
as
bringing the
Space
thing down,
Sandy because it should have been way earlier before Rudy's fucking derailing question. God damn it! If there's anything you can tell me, guys,
these are the questions people want to know.
about that
Yeah.
we maybe missed. It's
should
happening in the next month.
Hollywood decided to make a movie where
Let
you have
us
to
know
be
in the comment
quiet.
section.
People are
Let
going
us
to
know in
have
the
questions.
DMs. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at The Hype Attack. And if you've gotten this far and didn't realize that we're a full video episode, check us out on YouTube at The Hype Attack Podcast.
Terrible.
Like, rate, review, subscribe. Douglas.
Keep the conversation going. Talk to us. If you have a suggestion on how you would poop in the Quiet Place universe,
That's going to be a
fucking
poll.
hear it. Let's hear it.
You're going to need a poll to get it down. What's happening? Fucking
Yeah. I love everybody.
Booty muffler.
Until
Speaker
next
silencer.
time.
Yeah.
Same hype time.
Oh, I like
Same
the
hype
energy.
I didn't have the button queued. Fuck.
Well done.
Poop attack.